You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
The air is light and crisp, and the ponies are fresh. It must be fall. This week, we're talking about getting those horses fit and why riders in the Western world don't want to wear helmets. Plus, we have the perfect razzle dazzle to get your horse in the Halloween mood. Thanks for tuning in. From Heels Down Mag, a podcast where horse pros chat about what's happening in the horse world over drinks. Welcome to Happy Hour. I'm Justine Griffin.
I'm Jessica Payne.
And I'm Ellie Woznicka. Welcome to episode 129 of Heels Down Happy Hour.
Guys,
Hey,
I can't believe
guys.
it's already time for Halloween. Isn't it
I know.
nuts?
How?
Like, I woke up one day and it's fall. Like, when did that happen?
Right?
I guess
my
after the
favorite times of
hurricane,
year.
that's when it happened.
Yeah, exactly.
But
We
everybody's
went
all
from
right.
hot to so much rain to like now, like crisp fall weather.
I know, it's lovely. It's crazy.
We
It
had
is
that,
lovely.
but then the past 2 days, it's been 80 degrees, and my poor horses have already fluffed up. So they're like sweating, and I'm like, oh no, I'm so sorry. So I've brought everybody back in during the day and put fans on them because it's like they're too hairy, and I don't want to
It's too
shave them.
hairy.
I was
Yeah,
going to ask
and
you,
it
so
is-
would you clip or you won't? Because the real winter is coming.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. They just
Right
got to be
now-
uncomfortable for a little while.
Right now, I'm just hosing and saying, you'll be all right. It's supposed
Oh my gosh.
we're still getting in like high 40s, low 40s.
I was going
at
to say the
night.
lows at night. Yeah, because we still have
Yeah.
40s, but it's been 78, 80. We've been the same temperature, and it's kind of crazy.
Exactly.
I mean,
And then-
honestly, 80 degrees sounds like amazing to me.
no.
The last part of like, in the day it's warm. So like we can't blanket till like later. So it kind of is, it's hard because it is 40 at night and all of ours are clipped, obviously. So
Mhm.
they're 78, 80 degrees is quite warm. I mean, my kids were like in the jumpy castle, and yesterday Abigail was like in the arena running around with like water. And I'm like, it's cold at night. And then you go to shorts. So it is that weird temperature right now.
I know. So like I clipped probably 3 weeks ago, like middle of September, because it was still like summer hot and the coats were coming in. I'm
we've
like, this
we've
is
been
crazy.
clipping because of the weather change so much. We're having to clip like every 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. Mine looks like he's ready for another. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, no,
It's nuts.
once was enough.
Oh, not us. We're going to keep going for a while.
This episode is brought to you by Purina. And all right, I have a really fun Halloween drink because I don't know, I'm sure we've talked about this on the podcast, guys, but I love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday. It's the one I go all out on to decorate my home. I just love it. I love the fall. So I feel like I'm robbed of it living in Florida. So especially this year, it was just so miserable. Then we had back-to-back hurricanes. And now finally I get 2 weeks of fall before I have to take all my Halloween decorations down. It's awful. So I'm going all out. And this is a very spooky drink. Okay. So
Ready.
it is called a marshmallow web chocolate cocktail.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's definitely like a bougie, fun Halloween cocktail. Like you're only going to
Yeah.
make this one time, But basically, you're going to add some chocolate liqueur, some vodka, and a milk or cream, like whatever, if you like a heavy cream. And you're going to put it all in a cocktail pitcher, stir it up, and then chill it. And then you basically just pour that into your wine glass. And what makes it fun, so it's almost like if you wanted to make it like a Bailey's drink, I think you could with the and add a little chocolate liqueur
Yeah.
still, or you could even do like an espresso martini with a vodka if you wanted. But what makes it fun and like seasonally fun, like spooky, is that you're gonna make this marshmallow like char for your glass. And how you do that is you're gonna put some marshmallow in a microwave safe bowl. That's important. And just microwave it for like 30 seconds because you'll see the marshmallows get nice and puffy. And then you'll stir it briefly, like almost like you're with an egg. It's like I stirred it really quickly with a whisk. Let it cool. And then what you'll do is you'll pick up some of that marshmallow with your fingers and stretch it across the top of your wine glass. And it looks like
Fun.
a cute web, like a spider web. And you could put some seasoning on it. Like I put little like cinnamon on it. So it makes it like tasty, but also, adds a little bit of
fun
dimension.
looking.
Yeah. So if you're having like a Halloween party, or even if you want to get fancy, if you like to have a drink when you're handing out candy to trick-or-treaters, this is a fun one.
Yeah, no, I like this one a lot. I don't know if I could be able to drink a lot of it just because of how sweet. It's even sweet for me, guys.
And thick, you know what I mean?
For like one fun little, just like that, even just hold, like to walk around the party and stuff, and you've got these cool glasses. That looks
absolutely.
really fun.
Yeah.
It's definitely a festive drink.
Yes.
All right. So news. Who wants to go first?
I can, because it's been an exciting kind of week. Yeah. So we all were like glued to our TVs last week, because last week was kind of a weird week, and I'll talk about it later a bit, but the Maryland 5-star was going on and we weren't there. We were at a different 5-star. We were at Tryon 5-star. So totally different, kind of a weird experience, surreal experience for us. But we watched pretty intensely it wasn't that many horses that started, but when watching the cross country, it was pretty interesting, because I think out of the 23 starters, only 8 finished. And so I want to talk to you guys about it. There were some strong competition there. There were some new kind of horses in there, but it was very interesting in the fact that they had so many different problems. And it wasn't, in my opinion, I think it's a good thing that it wasn't one particular fence. Like when I watched the preview, I'm not going to lie, I kind of thought it was really creepy. The one in the water that had a waterfall and you had to jump through it. I thought the horses were going to maybe look at that a bit more. And that's not, and I think it was really funny. Somebody on Facebook posted and they're like, I'm here, where everybody can say they're sorry, like basically that wasn't actually the problem. Like it was a joke, like a haha funny, but it was interesting. That's not the one that caused the problems. It was throughout the whole course, like everywhere. Yeah. And yes, a good bit were eliminated due to a fall or whatever, but a lot of them also, I think the sports now, like once you have a stop, they retire quite quickly. They're not pushing them. They're recognizing that they're not up to what they thought they were. They were, the course was too much for them, or the horse just wasn't feeling right on that day. And I found that to kind of be an interesting thing, that quite a few of them actually retired on the cross country.
Yeah, I agree. I was, I watched it live. It's a beautiful and now becoming a marquee event for America. I mean,
right.
We only have 2 5-stars. So to have another of this caliber that is compared to the European classic tracks like Badminton, Burley, I think is really important for the sport in America. I think it's huge to have this. And I've seen a lot of chatter online since the event ended, the eventing, it's too hard. We're asking too much of the horses. So few can finish. I think a lot of this chatter comes from people who probably aren't eventing and maybe haven't evented, which is fine. It's important that everyone can watch eventing and find it exciting. But I just, there's so much, it's so easy to say that online without having like the nuance and the context of what goes in to build a course like that. And what goes in to prepare your horse for a course like that. I mean, and especially with horses, like anything can happen anytime, whether you're riding at the 5-star level or you're going to go like jump starter, like sometimes your horse, it's just not your day.
It's not your day. Exactly.
And I just, these are some of the best horses in the world that were there, and on hilly terrain, and yes, the course I do think asked a lot of our horses, and especially the optics after the Olympics, which was not a 5-star course. To remind everybody, this thing was pretty darn hard.
It was built,
but it was built to be right. And I think what's also interesting about Ian's courses, there's a lot of talk leading up to the day of the event, are the options. There are options. You do not have to take the direct hardest route in a lot of those tougher questions. But most riders who want to be competitive are going to, right? But it depends on, you have to make that decision like in a split second while your horse is galloping up at this massive fence. That's a lot to put on the horse and the rider to change your plan. And I think we saw a lot of riders make it through part of the course. And like you said, Jess, like I think Tammy Smith made the right choice for My Bomb, even though it was heartbreaking to watch her retire. She knows that horse better than anybody. And she knew it wasn't worth pushing him. He was tired.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the answer is, because the whole spirit of eventing is the fitness and the grit it takes to do this. This isn't show jumping. This isn't dressage. This definitely isn't the hunter jumper world. It's a grit and tough mentality, and I think that's important. And I also think Maryland plays a really important role in American eventing right now. So I hate to see people so quick to jump at like the results speak to our larger problem, because I thought it was a very fair course given the level and the time of year, and honestly the riders who completed it, like, it was incredible to watch. It was incredible.
Yes.
And that's kind of what the sport's all about.
Yeah.
So,
no, I think it's really well put.
thank you. I'll get off my soapbox.
Speaking of which, what do you have us for news?
Okay. So one of my favorite coaches on Ride IQ, hopefully you guys are members. We've had Kinsey and Jessa, the founders of Ride IQ, and Kyle Carter on the podcast. Obviously, we're big fans of them. But anyways, one of my favorite trainers on Ride IQ is John Halling, who is a 5-star eventer who lives here locally in Florida. He and his wife, Jen, coach a lot of amateurs, a lot of personal friends of mine. I'm a big fan of the Hallings. But what is very cool is this documentary just came out that you can watch for free on YouTube. And it's all about John Halling and like his story of how he found eventing and building his program. It's not crazy long. It's about 43 minutes, but it's really emotional. So if you're looking for something to watch that will make you feel inspired, you got to watch this. It's called Beyond the Arena, and it's posted on John Halling also has a podcast. It's called The John and Rick Show. It's posted on their YouTube channel, and you can watch it all for free there. But it really made me like, I got teary watching it. It's fun to celebrate and support people who are just like good horsemen. And John Halling is one of those. And it's just I think a great ambassador for the sport, and really gives back to a lot of the eventing community here locally in Florida, especially in Ocala. So if you're looking for something to watch, we will for sure post the link to the documentary in the show notes. But Jess, have you watched it yet?
I have not. I know Doug just watched it and he said it was really interesting. It kind of talks about, he's like, you should watch this. It talks about his background and everything else. So it's on my list of things to watch and everything, because I am excited to kind of hear how, we've known John for forever, but I think it kind of dips more into him personally and, why he became into safety and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's super fun. So we'll for sure share the link so you guys can watch it if you haven't seen it yet. And again, John been instrumental on developing Ride IQ. He has like a whole arsenal of lessons just from him.
They're so good.
And they're some of my favorite ones. Yeah, for sure. I hear John's voice all the time in my earbuds when I'm riding.
Perfect.
Well, what about you, Ellie? What do you got for news?
So I've got an interesting one. And it's a study that was done where they like videotaped 33 horses in 4 different situations. So like standing in like a familiar paddock with like a herd mate, and then having their feed withheld from like their normal time. So getting them out of that routine, and then being visibly separated from a herd mate and having like a ball suddenly thrown on the ground in front of them. And the whole point of this study was to see what horses did with their eyeballs, I kid you not, when they're stressed. So what they actually found was that horses blink less when they are stressed. So like the average time when horses are like, and they matched this with their heart rate as well, but they found that horses like on average when relaxed blink like between 8 and 9 times per minute. However, when like they were in those stressed environments where the food was, not given at the appropriate time, when they were separated from their herd mates, they blinked less often, and they blinked like 5 times per minute. And when the ball was thrown, so obviously like much more startling, that was only like 4 times a minute, which, come to think of it, I've always, we all know that when they're spooked, they get those bug eyes, right? But I didn't actually think about the fact that they blink less. So that's a really interesting thing. And I think it's great because they're kind of using it as information. So that way it's a non-invasive method for people to be able to determine if their horses are stressed.
Wow, that is really interesting. I mean, it does make sense, right? Like we're around them enough to kind of notice those movements. Like I think of my horse, like when he's snorting and his eyes are wide, right? Like
Wide open,
he doesn't, he doesn't want to blink because he's very focused on whatever is spooking him in the distance. But interesting. Okay. Huh.
Yeah, so here I am. I'm going to be like timing my horse's blinks, like in different environments. I'm like, are you stressed?
And we'll definitely share that link in the show notes too if you guys want to read more about this research. And we want to say congratulations to the winner of our recent giveaway with Zero Proof Horse Treats. Zero Proof has been a great supporter of the podcast this year and last year. And we recently held a giveaway on our Instagram and Facebook channels. We asked you guys to share your worst body clipping mess ups. And our winner is Stephanie, who shared a really amazing, a really amazing photo where the clip job she left on her horse suggested something not appropriate for us to say on air, but we have a picture of it and you could see it on heelstadmag.com if you want. But everybody shared a bunch of really fun stories. And don't worry, we've all been there. We've all had horrible clipping jobs on our horse. And the best thing about a bad clip job is it always grows back.
Exactly.
Yes.
But if you participated and didn't win, the good news is you can always get some perks if you order from Zero Proof Horse Treats at their website, which is zeroproofhorsetreats.com. And use the code HEELSDOWN, all one word. You'll get free shipping plus a free gift. So again, you can get your own Zero Proof Horse Treats by going to zeroproofhorsetreats.com. All right, guys. So I'm really excited to talk about the product we're reviewing this month. I think we all got some of this in the mail from our friends at Armor Equestrian, which make a lot of really fun turnout options to glitter up and razzle dazzle your ride, from glitter hoof polish to they make this really cool shimmer body spray that you can use in your horses, to a gel for their mane and tail. But most of all, they make glitter stencils with glitter that can be biodegradable, which is great. But it's just two ladies who have two daughters who love horses that founded this company. Again, it's called Armor Equestrian. And they came up with these fun stencils that you can use on your own time, like just to celebrate the seasons, or if you want to be bold and really change your turnout routine with something fun. But you guys got some Armor Equestrian products, right? What did you get, Jess and Ellie?
So I got, oh my gosh, the body shimmer is at first like it just looks like a bunch of glitter in this like spray bottle. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to just be overwhelming. And so we sprayed it at home. Abigail wanted to play with it and stuff. And we sprayed it. And honestly, it's like this nice, like shimmer. Like you don't even notice it. It's so nice. Like, so then we were doing the zone championships at Tryon about a month or two ago. And so for the team stuff, everybody had like big kind of glitter on. And we just sprayed it all over Biggie, one of the mares that Doug was jumping. And like, it was just slight enough. So, you know, like for Doug, who's not going to want to go out like all blinged out, it was like a nice touch. So it was actually super fun. And like, it comes in different colors. We just did the silver one, but it was super, super like subtle enough to like bring it out without being too much, which I loved.
Yeah, very classy. I got the glitter shimmer spray too. I got the holographic pink glitter, and yeah, it's like bright pink in the bottle, and you shake it up. It's really pretty. Like you see all the glitter. But you're right. When you spray it, like I sprayed it all over poor Mikey in the pink glitter, but you catch it just in the right light. Like it's definitely not overwhelming. But if you wanted to add like a fun shimmer to your, like say you're matching your jumper outfit for the day, like at the horse show, I would 100% use the glitter, because the people who will notice it they'll like, you know, they'll like give you the head nod from across the warm up. Like, I see your glitter spray. Like it's just enough that the fashion people will find you and go, I get it. I see that, you know? Like
exactly.
Yeah.
It's super fun. And it's really easy to use. And I feel like a little goes a long way. Like you don't have to sit there and spray them all over to get the effect of it. What did you get, Ellie?
So I actually tried out some of the stencils.
Oh, yay.
And I was so excited. And I think the funniest part of this for me, so obviously I'm not showing right now. I've told you, my horses are super fluffy, but I put some on Batman and I was like, oh my God, he's so cute. But I put him out in the pasture, and right now the road, like adjacent to mine, they're doing road work on it. So my road is being used more. And these people were slowing down when they passed my pasture because my horse had this little stencil of like a pumpkin on his bum.
Goodness.
I think
That's
they were
hilarious.
trying.
It was a
figure
pumpkin.
out-
That's so cute.
Yeah, I got the pumpkin one.
And so what I like about this, you guys already know I like the stencils. I used the feather on War Feather at the Thoroughbred Makeover. And from Armor Equestrian, I got a crown, which I love because I have a brown Spooks show coat. And Spooks brand is a crown, like their little brand emblem. So for dressage, like I'm going to use it, like, and it's gold glitter and it matches like the rose gold of my helmet plus the buttons of my Spooks show coat. But the Spooks coat has a nice, beautiful crown emblem on the arm sleeve. And Mikey is obviously the king, right? So it makes sense. But what I like about Armor Equestrian is they have the one-time use stencils, which are like essentially a sticker, and you put it on their rump and then you do the glitter and then you peel it off, which is great. But they also have reusable stencils. So for me, like the crown emblem is something I will reuse at multiple horse shows. So it's excellent. Like I can use it one time, clean it off, put it back in my show trunk, and I have it for the next horse show. Which is really great that it's not like you're buying just a one-off thing. And they have so many different glitter colors to choose from. Like literally you cannot think of a color that they don't have. So, and if being sustainable is important to you, they offer biodegradable glitter, which I think is amazing that they even thought of that. So I really think there's something for everybody at Armor Equestrian. They, beyond all of their fun glitter and fun turnout stuff, the mane and tail gel is super fun too. My friend has a mini horse. His name is Edison. He's adorable. And you could put the glitter gel. We put the glitter gel in his mane when we braided it, and it like makes the little button braids pop so much with the color.
Oh my goodness, that's so cute.
I feel like Abigail will love that.
Yes.
But so if you really want to get like dazzled up, it's super fun. But if like the glitter turnout isn't for you, there's something for everybody at Armor Equestrian's website, because they also sell super trendy belts and some jewelry. You got the jewelry, right, Jess?
Yes, I got a really cute necklace. And so it's really like just a petite necklace with a little mini horseshoe, and it's super just cute and easy, and it's precious.
Right, like not an understated like equestrian style is how I would,
just
Yes,
not like super, kind of like I said, the glitter. It's just very cute and not like overpowering, like in a good way.
Yeah, honestly, they're super cute gifts, like especially with the holidays coming up, because I know they make it's like matching earrings and a ring. You can get all the horseshoes. They're really cute. But they also make fun stickers, like cutesy stickers for like your laptop or maybe your show trunk. So yeah, we're big fans of Armor Equestrian. Again, there's something for anybody there, like whatever you're looking for. And you can find that all yourself by going to the website. It's Armor, ARMOR, equestrian.com. And if you're headed to Equine Affair, you could see a bunch of our friends. Armor Equestrian will be there. That's early November. I think it starts the 7th. They have a booth there. Their booth number is 2909, so you can check that out there. And also Zero Proof Horse Treats will be at Equine Affair this year, and you can't miss them. They have a very cool horse treat bar that they do at Equine Affair every year, which is, it's super cool to see.
So, Ellie, I could have a question for you, and I'd love to kind of talk to you guys about this topic. So we always talk about safety equipment. We're always big into the air vest. We're obviously really big into the safety of different helmets and everything. And why doesn't the Western discipline wear it more often? Is it just, the culture? Is it, I know there's like some hats that like look like a Western hat that are, a helmet and stuff, but just over time, like in the dressage world, we used to wear top hats, or in jumping, we used to wear, just the hunt caps, and all of that has changed. why do we feel that the Western discipline hasn't kind of caught up, and how do we make it more normalized in that sport?
It's a good question.
That is a great question. And obviously, I can't speak for every Western rider. And I think I probably have a different perspective on it being a crossover rider.
Yes. Yeah.
And especially like for me, like I grew up, I didn't ride Western until I went to college. So for me, like it wasn't an option. Like you always wore a helmet, you know?
Right. It's weird not to then go into it.
Right. But I think the big thing that I noticed, especially talking with older cowboys and that have been in the industry for a long time, similarly to the top hat, right? In dressage, it is like the fashion, like that is the look that they're going for.
Yeah.
And especially in the show ring. And that's because it stems from, right, the old vaquero and, old cowboy Western style, right? Which it's interesting because, if you think about everything cowboys like actually working on cattle ranches, right, where they'll wear chaps to protect their legs, they'll wear, wild rags to protect their necks from the cold, and they can pull them up over their nose a little bit. They'll wear gloves. Like, it's not like they're not aware of those things, but I think it's interesting because, the hat was seen more as just something for like sun protection. So it just wasn't ever something, I think, when it, obviously I was not alive when it all first started, but that's kind of the impression I've gotten from everything about it. Like it served a purpose.
Yeah.
And then it became, the fashion. Right. And even like in the hunter under saddle and stuff for the quarter horse associations, they'll still use the push on hunt caps.
No strap under the chin. Is that?
Yeah.
Ugh. Okay.
And I don't know why, but I do unfortunately know like the other side of it, right? Because I've seen it happen firsthand. It is unfortunately still penalized in judging a bit. Not like, it's not like there is a blatant like on the scorecard score for it, but judges, especially when they're from that older generation, are going to see it as, oh, like, is your horse not broke enough? Or, like they're going to think about it like that. And they're also going to think like, well, are you not like secure in yourself? And I don't think that that's necessarily what all judges think, but it definitely like it finishes the look in a way that's what they're used to seeing and that's what they like to see. So when they see something that looks off kilter, I mean, hunter judges are the same way, right? If you see a white horse come in with a poop stain on it, you're going to be annoyed,
Or the same, even, like the hunters, you're not going to come in with like a crazy jacket on and a crazy hat. You're going to get penalized all day long, even though you're wearing a jacket, even though you're wearing like if Carl Cook went in with that Maverick looking helmet, like, there's no way he's going to place. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you think about. But like, he's wearing a helmet and it's safe, but like, it's just not. And maybe that's it. Maybe it's just the culture.
The tradition.
It's the tradition. And maybe with time, we can slowly like, maybe they'll have like the helmets that look like the Western hats come out more and stuff. I don't know. Or maybe we just start to talk about it more and it becomes more normalized so that you can wear a helmet. Because honestly, when you see Ellie getting tacked up with her chaps on and her helmet on, like in her Western saddle, it looks pretty normal, So if that can become the more normal, maybe that is what more people will be comfortable with.
I feel like I see it probably the most in Western sports is barrel racing, right? And that's a pretty high intensity sport.
Right. Yeah. Helmets are a lot more prominent in that. And I think Fallon Taylor has actually done a lot with that because she came up with a whole line of like, super like flamboyant and fun helmets.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that really kind of like fed into the very like bedazzled and flashiness of barrel racing. But I think unfortunately for the more traditional kind of not bland, but bland is the word, kind of riders, they don't like the look and they don't want to change it. And unfortunately there's nothing. Like there are a few helmets, but they still haven't, they look clunky. the helmets that like are also hats. So like I wish that they would come out with something that would be able to kind of play more into that, you know, because I think that's what's going to push it more to like, hey, let's do this and be safer, you know?
It is interesting though. Like I remember from the World Equestrian Games in Tryon, I think that 2018. It's probably the last time we've seen all the disciplines together at a WEG. And reining was still part of the FEI then. I don't think it is anymore.
Nope.
Yeah, and I remember the helmet conversation being a hot topic then, right? Because we were every other discipline, people wore helmets. Even on carts, people wore helmets.
Yeah, even driving.
Yeah, but the Western guys didn't want to do it, and I think that kind of caused some strife at the time. I mean, I understand where we're coming from when it comes to the look and the tradition and the history of the sport, but I feel like we've come so far in terms of like the science and the safety to know, like, I mean, I don't know how many people even don't wear a helmet when they ride a bike anymore. Like we just know that the safety outweighs anything else.
Right.
So that is interesting. But as someone who has a foot in that world, it's cool to hear your take on it, Ellie.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I showed not in a hat, you know?
Sure. Yeah. I get it.
If I'm paying to be in that class, you know, I'm going to do it.
You got to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's also, I think, very much like I've heard older cowboys say, especially when I was breaking horses, right? Because obviously I'm going to wear a helmet if it's the second time I've sat on this horse's back. Like, I'm not even going to like pretend to like care about the look at that point, you know? And I've heard people say like, oh, like once the horse gets broke, you won't need that anymore. And it's like, I think there's a whole different
mentality there.
Yeah. Like, I mean, horses that are 4 years old, if they're a quarter horse, they should be the equivalent of a horse that is 15, 16 in hunter jumper. Like, it's supposed to be finished, done. Like, that is like as good as it's going to be, you know? And I don't necessarily agree with that mentality, but I think that unfortunately, just like that hasn't changed, neither has the caring for the safety. And I think you also have to think about like, you know, the rodeo environment and things like that. Like there are still people that got down bulls without protection, which is literally insane to me because the whole point is that you are trying to fall off. Like
you have to fall off.
Yeah.
It's no win. You have you have to fall off.
It will happen, you know, and there's still people who ride bucking broncos that literally aren't wearing helmets, you know, or like, and you know, then you'll see people who wear, you know, complete neck protection so they don't get whiplash. You know, it's like, I would hope that it would continue to trend, but I feel like there's such a weird, like social construct with like very Western riding where it's almost like this weird like invincibility thing, like where it's like I've been riding without a helmet for years and you know, and I'm not gonna
dude
right, and it's unfortunate that like, you know, are you gonna really change those minds? I think we have to focus on the newer generations, like, hey, look at all of this science that, you know, proves that even if your horse is literally the safest, the sanest, if he trips and you fall funny, you could have serious brain damage, you know, and I think that's why I'm really happy to see it showing up more in barrel racing, because especially if you compare, you know, just the speed alone of barrel racing versus like Western pleasure, right? Astronomically different, but those horses can trip the same way. And if they fall on you, and you're not protecting your head, it doesn't matter how fast you're going. I mean, yes, it does, because it'll be a lot worse if you're going faster. But you know what I mean? You can still get hurt the same.
Oh, sure. I mean, I feel like we've seen that in many examples in English disciplines. But like, I remember when the top hats went away. I mean, it took a long time to get dressage people behind that. Like, I remember seeing Charlotte Dujardin in Wellington at the World Dressage Masters. This must have been like 2011. And she was like the only one in a helmet. And it was like so taboo. Like she's on Vallegro and in a helmet and people were like freaking out. I mean, it took a long time. And that just seems wild to think about now, like that it took that long. Like, but I think people were like that when the laws changed and you had to wear a seatbelt, or when you couldn't
Well,
smoke a
100%.
cigarette in a restaurant. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
people,
Right.
It takes time.
people are like, you can't change this on me. You know, like it's such a silly
Yeah,
thing when
that's
it's like,
true.
literally, this is about your like health and safety.
Right?
So I think one day we'll see helmets. I do. I think we will. But you're right, Ellie. I think it will come from younger generations going,
Yeah.
I'm not willing to risk this.
Right. Yeah.
But
I
I'll
mean,
be curious to see like how those conversations continue to evolve there.
absolutely. Want to add a little sparkle to your equestrian life? Armor Equestrian has just the right amount of razzle dazzle to add a fun flair to your everyday riding routine or show turnout. From fabulous glitter stencils and shimmer body spray and hoof polish, stand out for all the right reasons with Armor Equestrian, and feel good doing it by supporting a women-owned small business that offers a collection of biodegradable glitter products. Come for the glitter, but stay for the jewelry, the belts, and one-of-a-kind stickers. Armor Equestrian truly has something for every rider. Check it out for yourself at armorequestrian.com and get 15% off when you use the coupon code HeelsDown15.
All right, guys. So speaking of Maryland in the 5-star and all of the opinions on that, something that came up that I thought was interesting out of the 5-star was talking about fitness, which I do not have a 5-star rider's body, no doubt. My Mikey does not have a 5-star horse fit body either, as somebody who is now tack walking after 5 months off. But, you know, we talked about the terrain was a big part of the Maryland conversation. The hills are pretty serious and you saw horses get tired on course. But it just made me think about fitness in general. So going from the other end of the scale and looking at Mikey's dad bod right now, it is interesting. So he's been tack walking for about 30 days. And both my farrier and the body worker has like told me like, oh, we can tell he's like back in work. And I'm like, but he's only walking. But
Walking is huge, though.
I
Yeah.
was going to say, it's amazing what walking can do, right? But I thought it would be interesting to just talk about fitness and how you bring a horse back. I mean, Ellie Berkeley, I know, had his own rehab journey this last year with you. And even you, we could talk about rider fitness too, because I feel like I rode horses all summer, but then between the damn hurricanes and life, like I haven't really ridden more than just tack walking Mikey in the last 30 days. And I can feel the fitness change for me. So just why don't we start at the top level? Let's start with the horses we saw at Maryland and like preparing for a track like that. What are you doing to keep the horses fit?
I mean, honestly, you're going back weeks and weeks, months almost to when you're starting, and you're starting them to get a base. I mean, most of these horses are at least 10 years old. They've got a great base fitness. They have stayed fit. You've got their base fitness throughout the levels, and that really helps them. And then
is the age important? Like the fact that they're at least 10 years old?
Because they will have more of a base fitness. Yes. You can tell every year that they stay. So like most of these horses have started as 4 or 5 year olds. They've really started galloping when they're 6 or 7 and really putting in the dedicated time to get them fit. So then by the time every year they go to a long, starting at a 2 all the way up to a 5, every season they do it, they get fitter and they stay fitter, even when you give them time off. And so generally speaking, they'll do a spring and a fall long format. And so they'll build that spring up. And then ours, we give them about a month off after that long format to whatever's just not feeling great. Sometimes you don't know it. Just lets their body rest. Then we'll bring them back. We'll walk them for a couple weeks, depending on what, how far is the next one. Like sometimes you've got a long gap. Sometimes you're a little bit shorter. So then we'll walk them for a couple weeks. Then we'll start to do light, flat. Then we'll get them, just doing cavalettis and jumping kind of low, wide stuff. And then we put them back on the gallops. And they're galloping twice a week, these horses. And they'll do, depending on your facility, at Tryon, we've used that hill quite a bit. We use our own hill. We will then add speed as well once they get it. So it is very calculated on knowing the facility of how to get them fit enough for those upper levels. And it takes time to learn that too, right? So then the ones that have established facilities or established places that they've galloped know how to have their horses fit are probably the best, So like any kind of little thing can change and that can affect an outcome.
Interesting. It's really, I find that fascinating. Like just the preparation that goes into competing at that level. Like it's such
very, very calculated.
And I understand why it's such a team effort. Like there's just so many pieces to it, right? To keep them sound.
Because you can't do that
healthy,
by
happy.
yourself, right? So you have to like then rely and trust your whole village to make sure they're feeling great, make sure they're putting in the proper gallop work, that they didn't get cut short somewhere. Because then on top of the galloping, they're walking up to an hour plus a day for the last month.
Right. I know you and Doug have talked a lot about that, about just like how the walking hacking is so important.
Yeah.
So like at Maryland, my bomb is retiring from the 5-star level at 18. I know Tim Price's horse Falco looked like in incredible form, and that horse is 15. Like for me, that sounds older. So what? Like how do
15,
you know
they're still in their prime. Like 15,
okay, like,
they've
how do you know what
15
the
are
peak
great.
is? Okay.
I mean, it depends on when did they get to the top of the sport. There's so many other variables in that. When did they get to the top of the sport? How hard are they? Throughout our entire barn, some are stoic, some are a little bit more weenies, like, that kind of plays into it. And so, and how well do they gallop? Are they hard on themselves galloping? That makes a difference. And so if they're kind of a harder galloper and, they're a little bit tougher on themselves, they might show age faster. Or they might be a hard galloper and they're tough as nails and they might not ever show age. So, it's not one piece. You can't look at that horse and say, oh, it's not a great galloper. I bet it's going to look like that, because you don't know what it's like in the barn. It might have never had a gram of butte. It might just be that stoic.
Wow.
Right.
I mean,
And
like
then
Quinn's a good example. He's he's a big horse too. Like how did you guys decide it was time to retire him last year?
After Tokyo, it was, he'd given us everything. Honestly, he performed amazing. He was the top place horse of Tokyo. So you can't, an American. And so you can't fault him for anything. And at that point, we like to retire them when they're feeling great and they can still go whatever level, maybe not that. And so Doug's like, what else am I going to do? He's not really a burly horse. He didn't do well there. He'd actually fallen down there. So like, what else was there on like the bucket list? He's got that great gallop. He's got a great, stamina and all that. So there just wasn't really anything else like, what we're going to do, take him to Kentucky for like the 20 billionth time. Like, so you kind of start to like, what do you need out of him? And so, or what do you want, personally? And there wasn't really anything that wanted. And so the original plan was actually, we were going to lease him out. And so Courtney Carson, who's been on here a bunch, our groom at the time, she had a great partnership with them. And we've all talked about this on the podcast, that I've taught her. She'd ridden through intermediate. And we kind of just joked, and there was like a war horse. And I said, do you want to take him like, training or modified or whatever it was? And she's like, oh my God, I'd be ecstatic. So we took her and it was great. And then the plan was we had 3 to 4 people coming to lease him, like to try him for a lease. And Debbie, the breeder and partner in him with us, came for like kind of a one last farewell ride. And Doug and I just looked and we're like, she's an amazing rider herself. She's ridden through Advance, but she's older now. And she just looked like she was having so much fun. And we hadn't really seen that side of her. And so we looked at the husband and said, I think this is the right call. I think you guys need to take him. I'll always have a place here. We're not like dumping him on you, or we can still lease him. And so Debbie started crying and we're like, nope, that's exactly what we needed to do. So I think if you listen to the horses and they'll tell you when it's time. And then for us, we just kind of try to make what's best for them, especially when, they've given us their all.
For sure. I mean, on the other end of the spectrum, there's me and Ellie with our horses who do not work nearly as hard.
No,
But-
and then that's kind of a nice life too, you know?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's just a different type of life and a different type of expectation, right? And
Absolutely. I mean,
but
what
the
I
goal
expect
is-
for my 6-year-old, like his fitness is like, not that much, So we just know he stays fit enough and gets out. He doesn't have, and he doesn't want to do that. Some horses don't want that, upper
Right.
level job.
exactly, or they're just not built for it,
No. Or
but
they
like
want their
Ellie, for
15-minute
you,
ride.
exactly. With Berkeley, he's done a lot for you. I mean, you had this whole lovely life with him, and you've rehabbed him, and now he's sound. I mean, what is his life like, and what was his life like for you after you rehabbed him and got him back to being like in essentially riding?
Yeah. So honestly, this probably isn't recommended, but after
Oh,
I
no.
got him rehabbed, I think I cantered him like 3 times. And then I was like, you're good, man. Enjoy life. Let's just go chill and let you be outside in a big pasture for a while. And especially, I think, after coming off of, Batman's whole 2-year debacle, I was just like, you guys just need to like be horses and just like enjoy life. And so I would take him out and I would trail ride him around the hay fields, and I would, beep bop around our property. And I'm just like, you know what? Like this is what I need and what he needs. Just I needed the season this year just to do nothing with expectations at all. But yeah, I mean, Berkeley, he has done a whole lot for me in the 12 years that we've been together. And, he's only 16. So really should be in his prime if I had enough time to like actually ride most of the time instead of fixing things that everyone else is breaking, and working to like afford him. So that's unfortunately the problem. But,
The eternal struggle. Yeah.
for real, like I don't think I had a real good grasp of that, like when I was just, riding and I wasn't paying the bills to like, and I only had to pay for my horse shows, things were different. But yeah, so I think that he's just being mellow and fat, and it's sometimes I look at him and I'm like, oh my God, you've never had like so little of a top line. But I'm like, you know what? It's winter. I'm not going to try to push hard with winter coming up because I'm not going to ride with how cold it gets here. And he's not going to want to ride. And he's going to be, 3 inches of hair thick to protect himself from the winter. So it's not going to be conducive to me being able to ride, and then put him away because he's going to have to dry for hours, So I'm looking forward to the spring and kind of bringing them back. And I think that doing all the rehab stuff has actually given me a good understanding of how to like break it down in a way that's easier on their bodies. So, I'm sure you can attest to this, right? With all of Mikey, you increase everything by like 3 to 5 minutes. And, you do things for like at least a week at a time. And you give the body time to adjust to like what you're asking, which is something, I think you don't really think a lot about when you're just a pleasure rider, when you're not thinking about getting them in condition, right? You don't think about, I just saw him cantering around in the pasture. It might be, a little hard for him to canter for 2 minutes with me on their back, So I'm just like kind of following, honestly, the program that was created for Batman and Berkeley for their rehab, where I start by walking them for like 10, 15 minutes and then trot them for 3 to 5, And I think the biggest thing I've learned with all that rehab is how important, walk is, but also how important trot is. Like canter is so easy for them in terms of like the actual fitness to do it. That's why, like, if they're going up a hill, right, it's a lot harder for them to walk up a steep hill or trot up a steep hill than it is for them to just like quickly like shove themselves up in a canter. And the way that the vets up at Cornell explain that to me is it's just the load and unload of each leg for the trot, when they're getting back into work, that kind of slowly wakes up the body and each muscle in a way that is easier for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I totally get
Absolutely.
that. And I live and breathe that too, Ellie. I mean, I was 2 years of Mikey's soft tissue rehab, and now I'm on month 5 of a bone fracture rehab. The walk is really important. It's like amazing. So I totally get what you're saying and how you prepare them for that. And like you know, Mikey picked the perfect time to be lame, which is the summer here. It was the hottest it's ever been. He really struggled to sweat, which I think because he wasn't in work, like he had no fitness to help him. But now that we're walking again, you know, it's just, I try to take it one day at a time and try not to get greedy, right? Because it's like, gosh, we've been through 5 months. Why rush it now, right? Like,
Exactly.
just letting his body kind of uncoil after all this time and feel itself and get used to, like, we do a lot of things on the ground just for like the mental stimulation for him, and then we just hack out, you know. But yeah, it's I totally get it. Like, I'm hoping to amp up a little bit through the winter, but it's like, what's the rush?
Well, and I think that's the whole point is like, listen to yourself, listen to the horses, like, and go at your own pace, and like, don't feel bad that like you're not matched with something else, you know?
Yeah,
That
I
makes
know.
sense.
And I feel like we could do a whole like
Oh my gosh.
other
Yeah.
segment on rider fitness. Like, we'll save that for another time. But between Ellie, you with like everything you went through in the last year with your MS, and just like how you got fit after coming back from pregnancy, like that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like how
exactly.
you guys got ready to go back to real work, like real work under tack, you know? But if you guys are interested in that, listeners, let us know. We'll add it to another episode. But I think this is really interesting because I do think like the term fit, quote unquote, is vague because it depends on your job. And
100%.
I also like, I think it's important, Ellie, you brought up a good point from like a pleasure rider standpoint, is like people, like if you're an amateur and you just like come to enjoy your horse a couple times a week, people like to do the same routine 3 to 5 days a week, right? Like they flat the couple days and jump a couple days and then like go to a horse show and that's it. But I will tell you, the rehab has taught me so much about their bodies that I never want to do the same thing anymore. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's so important, that there are all these different pieces that play such an important role in keeping them sound, that you can't just do the same things all the time because that's what you like to do. It's not fair to their bodies. So people who are listening are like thinking about their own routine, like, I hope you never have to go through like an injury to rehab to learn that.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 don't recommend.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't do it this way. But there's like plenty of books and resources to learn more about fitness and the way you can prepare your horse to be sound for longer if you do the fitness type riding regularly in your routine. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Confidently address your horse's unique weight needs and help optimize their overall well-being with research-proven Purina animal nutrition feeds designed by passionate equine nutritionists. Partner with Purina to nourish your horse to their optimal body condition. Explore weight management resources for your horse today at purinamills.com/feed-finder. Okay, guys. Well, it's that time. Rose and Thorn, who wants to go first?
I can go.
Go, Ellie.
Okay. So my thorn is that I'm not thrilled about having to work again.
What does that mean? You're like back in civilization.
Yeah, so it's the first time I've had a job not working from home in like 5 years. So I got a job at a bookstore, just working part-time, which is fun, but also not fun because I get a really good employee discount and I end up spending way more than I should because, you know, it's like that math where it's like, if I get half off, then I could buy twice as much, you know, one of those situations. So I'm like, am I actually making any money? But no, my thorn is like, it's not that I've forgotten how to be like in civilization, but I kind of have forgotten how to be in
Oh my
civilization.
goodness.
You've
I
been
mean,
living
like,
on that mountain for too long, Ellie.
I know. And it's like, it's so weird to have to like actually like get like physically attractive to go to work.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
She
I'm
can't
like,
have like the outfit she wears behind the screens.
I know my can't like I have to actually put like a real bra on, not like a ratty sports bra one, and like I can't wear my sweatpants, and I
You have
can't
to
have
talk
like
to people all day.
yeah, and I can't have like hay in my hair because that's frowned upon, and I can't smell like horse crap. So that's like a weird adjustment for me. So that it is my thorn because it's something that I was used to doing just like when Matt would like take me out on a date night or something like, or go to one of his work events, like not like an all the time thing, like multiple days in a row. And it's exhausting to like have to like talk to people. And I feel like, when they're not horse people, that makes it kind of worse. It's like, what do I have to talk to you about? But luckily it's about books, so I can talk about that a lot.
Well, that's a good one, though.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But my rose is actually that I had to do all of my MS, like I guess you would say like check-ins, but not really, like my yearly MRIs and everything. And like they reevaluate my disability score every year and stuff. And it hasn't gotten worse. So that's good. I'm excited about that. But when I was in Connecticut for all my appointments, I ended up going and painting pottery with my mom.
That's fun.
Yeah. So it's something that I used to do when I was a little kid with her. Like I had like, my birthday parties and stuff there, but it was fun to go do it like as an adult and like actually like, not just like throw paint and stuff. But so that was a fun activity for us to do. And, of course we did it like horse themed, like she painted a mug with, a horseshoe on it and like all this stuff. But so that was a fun, time. I was glad that I got to enjoy time with my mom while having to go to all of my doctor's appointments. But that was, it was fun activity to do together.
We love your
That's
mom.
fun.
She's pretty great. So
Yeah.
it's nice. She chauffeurs me around. I don't have to pay for a hotel. And because I get to stay at her house, and then she takes me to paint pottery. So it's a great time.
Pretty good deal.
Aw.
Yeah. What about you guys?
Go ahead, Jess.
So mine's kind of like I don't know, I'm always like in between because it's kind of been like a normal routine kind of thing. We talked a little bit about how it's changed a bit being the normal routine that we didn't go to Maryland, that we went to Tryon. And so it was good. I mean, it wasn't, it's the first big 5-star. It was huge. And so we did Canada for Quincy's 5 stars and stuff there, but it was good. It was just different to not be at Maryland, but we were still at a 5-star. So it's like the new normal, I guess, I think is where it's going. And so it's just different. So I don't know if that's like a rose or thorn. And so then because I don't know if that's a rose or thorn, I'll throw out my next one that I don't know if it's a rose or thorn because so I have two of like, I don't knows basically. So well, we all know I love Halloween, but one of the reasons I love Halloween is it's right around my birthday. And so it's always just like a fun time. Fall's coming. It's my birthday. It's Halloween. You get to dress up. Like who wouldn't love that kind of week? So that being said, I turned 40 this year though.
Oh boy.
And I don't know. I mean, I'm excited about it. And I don't think it's a bad thing, but then it's like also I'm turning 40. So I'm still not sure if that's my rose or thorn either, to be honest.
It's a big one. It's a big one. You got to be
It's a big
retrospective, think about it. I get it.
Yeah. So I'm just not quite sure. Yeah. I'm not sure if either of mine are good or bad, or they're just the new normal. I think that's like what it's going to have to be this week.
I don't know, Jess. You've accomplished a lot in your life by 40. I think you've got a lot to celebrate at 40.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know we're going on a trip with a bunch of our friends, so I am excited about that. So that'll be my rose for future stuff. I'll keep that for a later time.
There you go. All right.
What about you? Now it's your turn.
Okay. Well, mine's easy. My thorns are Helene and Milton. Holy crap. Words I cannot say on this podcast. Yeah, it's been a doozy. Like when your body just finally fails because you've been under stress for so long and you're sick. That is me. Like it's been, I'm not gonna lie, I've lived in Florida my whole life, and this last month has been a doozy. It's been
It's a lot.
stressful. It doesn't help that I work for the newspaper, right? That like when the hurricanes come, it's such a high demand time for news, so it becomes a 24/7 news cycle that I work a lot, so that adds to the stress. But from a work perspective, I'm very proud of what I do. I'm very proud of the people I work with. Like, we did amazing work. I do think we play a really important role for our community in keeping people safe and providing them information that they need. But man, this one was tough. My poor parents really got hammered by Helene. They live on the beach. They're snowbirds, and their other home is Tryon, which also got pretty hammered in Lake Lore. So there was a lot to help them at that time. They were staying with us for a while, and then Milton came about, and Milton was the real deal. It was scary. It was a really scary storm. There was just a lot to manage between personal life and the house and all the critters and work and, all the cleanup. I feel like we're still dealing with that. Like nothing is normal here yet, but it's part of living in Florida. So it is what it is. And I feel very grateful that everybody's okay. Everyone I love is okay. And the things we lost are just things, and it'll be fine. So I think my rose is that before Helene, like literally the days before Helene, I was in Louisville, Kentucky. Alex travels a lot for work, and I pick the destinations that I want to go to with him when he's traveling. And he was staying in a nice hotel in Louisville. So we went, and I had a blast. It's such a fun city to do like a long weekend in. And obviously lots of horse and thoroughbred culture. We spent a lot of time at Churchill Downs, got to watch the races, got to drink a mint julep, got to spend some time on the backside and watch the horses work out in the morning, which was very cool. But the only bummer of it was like Helene was coming while we were there. So work would not let me turn off work. You know what I mean? But
you didn't get to fully enjoy it, but it was still a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a really nice, like quick vacation, and if you've never done Louisville, it's very different from going to Lexington, which is all the horse farms. Like it's horse farm and very charming there. And Louisville is like a real city, a little city, but a real city. So it's got a very different vibe. So if you haven't done Louisville, it's worth doing. We had amazing food the whole time, which was great. I picked all the right restaurants. All my reservations worked out. It was awesome.
Oh,
and if
nice.
if you guys want restaurant recommendations, I will share them in the Facebook group.
Always. We're going to have to start like a whole kind of list of like our favorite restaurants at different cities.
All over. I know, right?
Yeah.
Like,
how fun would that be?
If you're doing a horse girl trip, check Hillstone
Or just
Happy
even
Hour
like if you're going to this destination, like people can go and be like, this is what we recommend.
For sure. Yeah.
That'd
it
be
was fun. Louisville was great. So that is my rose, my silver lining of the hurricane month. But we do have a great mailbag. This one came from Ariana in the Facebook group, and it was a really healthy discussion in the thread. So I thought it would be fun for us to talk about too. So Ariana asked, if you're going to trailer your horse very early in the morning, like say you're going to a horse show and you got to get up at 0:30 and load and get on the road, how long do you wait after feeding until you get on the road? And what else do you do to prep your horse before loading up? Jess, do you want to go first? Because you guys haul through the night all the time.
Yeah. So what we do if we are traveling through the night or early in the morning, or honestly just like long hauls, that we want to make sure that they're like drinking enough, because a lot of them don't really drink on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, we give it and we stop and we offer it, but a lot of them aren't just great about it. But that's when we make sure, like we've talked about, we use that Purina Replenimash for the hydration. We do that in the cold months, like when it's changing and stuff, but we do that for trailering as well. So if we're going to ship and we think like, oh, we're all going and it's cold or whatever, we'll replace most of their kind of lunch or breakfast or dinner with that. So then if we're feeding dinner, we'll leave a lot of the times at like 9, 10, 2 a.m. Like it varies. So a lot of it's in the middle of the night. So then we feed them the mash, the food before. And then if they're leaving at like 5 or 6, like honestly, we'll just give them a little bit of mash to make sure that they've had breakfast, like something, but more the liquid for the hydration. And then we just feed them once they get to the like destination.
Yep. That makes
So we
sense.
kind of just make sure, it varies, but we try to make sure the biggest thing that like more so than when we feed them, then we just feed them and make sure that they've got enough of the mash that's going to keep them hydrated through the next couple hours.
What about you, Ellie? What's your routine?
Yes, I mean, like a lot of the shows I go to are only like a half hour away, and Q, quite frankly, only eats 2 handfuls of grain. So with him, it doesn't really matter. But like obviously Berkeley, who eats, like 4 pounds of feed, I try to do like an hour before I leave. But I think it's different too because, my horses don't go to as many shows, right? So they're not used to that. So I feed them, let them sit in their stalls for an hour, give them their GastroGuard,
Yeah.
and that's what I do. It depends. Sometimes I'll do breakfast earlier than they usually do, if I do it at 6.
You'll bump that up.
Exactly. Yeah, because I'd much rather do that. Partially also, I think, to be fair, I think I'm a little lazy. So I don't want to have to bring the grain with me if I'm just going for a day trip,
If you're going short or whatever, and like I guess our shortest is really like 3 hours away. So same thing, we'll go feed them. But honestly, it takes us about an hour to get organized. So like you never dump them and like throw them in the trailer because like honestly, it's just not possible. So we get there about an hour, hour and a half before, dump their grain. And then if they're just going to try on, throw them on the trailer once everything's done. And generally speaking, that's at least like an hour plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think if like you're just not trying to like hurry up and like throw it on and take them, like if you just give yourself the time to make sure you're organized, like maybe planning wise, dump the grain, then go hook up your trailer. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
Like kind of give it that time. By that time, you're probably fine.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I do. Like if I'm pulling the horse, like Mikey's usually out overnight. So I'm bringing him in and feeding him. Then I'm going to hook up the trailer, right?
Yeah.
I'm usually a person who packs the night before if I know I'm getting up at like a crazy hour. But it takes a minute to hook up the trailer, make sure I pack a hay bag to hang in the trailer, double checking all my junk that it's in there.
Just double checking. Even if you're fully packed, I can't get out in faster than like 40 minutes.
Making sure I didn't forget everything when
making
I packed
sure I
the
didn't
first
forget.
time.
Making sure, but then I'm putting wraps or shipping boots on them, making sure there's hay, making sure I have a bucket full of water, like my cans for water, all of that.
Yep. All that.
Up.
It just depends. Like I try to give them GastroGuard before every trailer ride, but if it's like for me being in Tampa, if I'm just going to like someplace local in Tampa or like to Ocala, which is less than 2 hours away, it's just I'm just getting them there,
Exactly.
Honestly, ours are on that. Their grain has the Outlast on it, so like we don't. Honestly, like we feed a lot less ulcer guard than probably what you would expect.
Yeah, same. It just depends. Like for Wyatt, when we went to the makeover, that was different. That was 2 full days of hauling, right? Like it was a different situation than
then that's when we'll do it. Yeah.
Right. So we start the ulcer guard a few days before in preparation, but then I wasn't leaving in the middle of the night or early morning either. Like I was prepping that trip in a different way. But
so it all just depends.
But I do like the replenish. Totally. And I do like the replenish a lot because it also has the Outlast in it. So for hydration, for salts, for stomach buffer, but also the Gallagher's water is something I offer on the road.
Yes.
Wyatt was one who doesn't want to drink, but he had more appetite for that because it was a treat,
Yes.
Yeah.
So there are different ways to do it. I think it depends on your horse. If I had a horse that was kind of ulcery, I would make sure I built in the time for the GastroGuard.
Yes.
Though,
Yes.
Because that is stressful for them. So you just got to know your horse that you're hauling.
Yeah.
But if you have a question for us and you want us to answer it on the air, you can always send us an email by sending that to Justine@heelsdownmedia.com. And if you want to hear more from us, definitely check out Heels Down Mag for the latest news and follow us at Heels Down Happy Hour on Instagram and at Heels Down Mag on Facebook and TikTok. And if you love our show, please give us a rate and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're also sending out a survey to all our listeners. We really appreciate your feedback. I promise it doesn't take a lot of time. We will share that link in the show notes, but you can also find it on all our social media channels. And we want to say thank you to all of our partners this month: Purina, Armor Equestrian, and Zero Proof Horse Treats. All right, guys, that's a wrap.
Cheers.
Cheers.